करेंगे, लेकिन रिलायंस इंडस्ट्रीज जो भी पेट्रोकेमिकल कंपनी भी है और न्यू एनर्जी में भी केमिकल की साइड ही जा रही है, उसने एक बहुत बड़ा फंड रेजिंग किया है $4 बिलियन का। हमने दो बहुत स्पेशल जेंटलमैन से बात की उस फंड रेज पे, आशु खुल्लर जो सिटी बैंक के इंडिया हेड है और बोफा के एमडी, बैंक ऑफ अमेरिका मैरिल लिंच के एमडी आसित भाटिया, दोनों से वो क्या कहते हैं। उन्होंने 200 बड़े इन्वेस्टर्स से ग्लोबली बात की हुई है ये $4 बिलियन का बॉन्ड इशू बेचते वक्त। तो वो इन्वेस्टर्स का क्या फीडबैक लेके आए रिलायंस के बारे में, आइए जानते हैं।
I think certainly Reliance has started the year with a big bang, and I think it's kind of their tradition to do things in a very big way, in a very innovative way, and I think this is an extension, very much an extension of that philosophy. And as you yourself noted, I think it's the largest foreign currency bond by an Indian issuer. It's also the tightest spread ever achieved by an Indian corporate. And then even if you look at from an Asia perspective, certainly the first 40-year tranche by an Asian corporate, and I think it's even the lowest coupons achieved by an Asian corporate in the 30 and 40-year categories. Huge demand and, great timing, I think, from our perspective, which Reliance chose. Investors are fresh with money in the new year allocations. I think there is going to be a fair amount of interest for companies worldwide to try and hit the, bond markets, as you noted, because I think there's an expectation that the rates may be headed higher. So I think, again, from that perspective, I think great timing. It's also been a while. Reliance is coming back to the international bond markets after a gap of 4 years. And if you look at the journey which the company has had from what used to be a more traditional oil and gas company to now, look at Jio, look at their retail strategy, look at the new energy strategy, but it's a totally transformed company. It's a totally transformed credit. And I'd say that while the equity markets have had an experience of going through the journey, this is probably the first time the fixed income global investors, the top asset managers, the top insurance companies, the banks have had an opportunity to hear that story. And I think I'd say the investors have voted with their wallets. And that's why you had a book which was almost 3 times the size of the deal. And to put it in context, Ajay, last year, the entire foreign currency bond issuance from India was $21 billion, and this one deal had an order book of, over $11.5 billion. So I think in multiple ways, I'd say a very, very significant transaction for Reliance. And then, as you noted, I think it does open up, in my view, an opportunity for a number of other Indian corporates, Indian banks, to try and use the momentum. And I think while the rates are still in a historic context,
you took the words out of my mouth. I mean, last year, I think India Inc. probably raised, call it 22 odd billion dollars in the US dollar bond markets. In the first week of January, we have a $4 billion jumbo issuance, coming out of India's largest, private sector company. And think of all of what has been achieved in this transaction. And when I say all of what has been achieved, I'm referring 2 or 3, landmarks over here. It's obviously the largest ever transaction in a single day issuance by any corporate out of India. It has the lowest coupon ever for a 30-year bond. It is a first ever 40-year transaction that has been done out of India ever. So there are several landmarks that were achieved as a result of this transaction. The order books on this transaction were close to 12 billion, between 11.5 and 12 billion dollars. You had global funds participating from Asia, Europe, and the US. So it really, in every way, it is a landmark transaction, and opens the doors for other Indian corporates to follow suit during 2020.